Over the last 5 years at the I Think Initiative, we've said, if this insight is useful, this idea that tension is a gateway to innovation, then the question for us became, so how can we arm teachers with tools to be able to bring that into the classroom? And so for the last 5 years, we've spent time developing a framework, a step-by-step process for problem solving, while also learning from teachers on how do we bring that more thoughtfully into the classroom. The way that we see it is that students need tools to think through wicked problems. For example, we've often talked about creativity as being this out-of-the-box thinking. The challenge with that is that it suggests that there's this box and the answer is magically out here. And so what that means is I have to get lucky to find the answer and magically it appears. For us, we actually think of integrative thinking as being deep in the box thinking, that it's fundamentally about what are the tools that let students dive more deeply into the content, and actually creativity becomes about making new connections that we couldn't make before. And it is the tools that allow us to be able to do that digging. We created the integrative thinking process in such a way that lets students dig more deeply into the models in front of them to be able to make new connections and see new things. There are 4 steps, and the idea is that these steps offer enough structure to think through the messiness of a wicked problem, but open enough so that, of course, it's an iterative process. In step 1, we have 3 tasks that we ask ourselves to do. The first task is to articulate what these opposing models are. We need to define what option A is and what option B is, and really make sure that we understand the tension between them. The second task is to identify multiple stakeholders. We don't want to look at the challenge from one perspective. We actually want to look at the challenge from multiple perspectives. So choosing 3 to 4 different stakeholders who are impacted by the challenge or who need to have a say is our second task. The last task in this step is actually the part that makes integrative thinking one of the most differentiated parts of our problem solving, which is the pro-pro chart. Oftentimes we'll do pro-con lists when we have to make decisions, and then we just get more deflated around what the options are. When you do a pro-pro chart, what you're looking at are what are the benefits for each of the opposing models for each of the stakeholders involved. And so at the end of step 1, you have your 2 models defined, your stakeholders decided on, and the benefits of each model to those stakeholders. The second step in the process is examining the models. And this is about sense-making and coming to insights. We can't solve problems with the same thinking that created them. And so this particular step is about helping students look at the information in front of them differently. We ask the students different kinds of questions to be able to do that. One of them being, how can you synthesize each model into one word? Helps us to distill it not from opposing models, but what's at the heart of each of those models. The third step is when we explore the possibilities. What we've done is we've created what we call 3 pathways to integration, 3 ways to imagine what the combination and the better answer between the models would be, as a way to help students recognize that it's not about creating one perfect answer, but rather, how can you think about the multitude of answers that might exist to this challenge? And our 4th step is around assessing the prototypes. It's asking the question, what would have to be true? Because then we can help students imagine the conditions under which their ideas could thrive and start to recognize if some of those conditions don't yet exist, how might we be able to create them? And so the idea behind this entire process is about digging more deeply into the models in front of us, seeing new connections, and offering a variety of better answers so that we recognize that there's no one right answer to wicked messy problems. So we've seen teachers use integrative thinking with their students to tackle issues in their school, in their community, and of course curriculum examples as well. So we've seen grade 1 students look at the issue of recycling in their school. Should the recycling stay indoors or outdoors? Because at the time, the school was doing both, and nobody was happy with either option. We've seen students consulting to community organizations. Organizations like Pathways to Education and the North York Harvest Food Bank have offered students challenges. And we've also seen incredible connections with the curriculum. We've seen both actually grade 7 and grade 9 students look at endangered species and what is the best kind of habitat. Should they be in zoos or should they be out in the wild? We need tools like the integrative thinking process because we oftentimes talk about creativity as being out-of-the-box thinking. But integrative thinking suggests that actually we need tools to go deeply into the box. So by diving into the box and using tensions to explore what's in there, we actually are able to see new connections and have new insights that allow us better answers to the world's most messy, wicked problems.